from your break. My name is Terryl Sainthilaire, for those of you who have not met me yet, and My Dog is My Home's board chair, and I will be your moderator for the session. You have joined the office hours session named Ask a Pet Groomer. This office hours session is designed to address homeless services providers, animal grooming, and hygiene-related concerns that are relevant to maintaining a healthy and safe environment in a congregate human shelter setting. Our expert leading this office hour session is Terryl Daluz. Terryl is a speaker, an entrepreneur, an award-winning playwright, actor, creative being, and a change agent. Terryl has dedicated most of his life working in the social service field as a case manager for families that were homeless, a counselor for at-risk youth, and a program director for a youth leadership program. It was while working with these people that he discovered his passion and his gift of speaking and being able to connect on an intrinsic level. Terryl is the co-owner of 2 dog grooming salons in LA, Wash My Dog, and a nonprofit, Loving Paws. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad to have such an expert in both worlds with us. So the time is yours.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. I hope all are well. Out there, I'm waiting to see your faces. I see people connecting to audio and their video. Thank you all for taking the time to just be here today, and I'm glad that you are interested in talking to me. This is going to be interactive. I'm just not going to be a talking head. I really would like to hear from you all and get response from you all. So when I do ask or pose a question, I please would love to have volunteers. I'm just going to start off by introducing myself. Carol basically gave the synopsis of who I am, but for those that may be visually impaired, that may not be able to see me, or for later on, if you watch this video, I am an African-American male. I have a beard. I'm wearing a green Wash My Dog shirt. And just a little bit about myself. What she stated is true. One of the reasons why I really think that this is a perfect match for me is because not only do I have 2 dog grooming salons in Los Angeles and a nonprofit that helps families that are homeless, that are experiencing homelessness and their pets, but I've also worked in the social service sector with individuals that were experiencing homelessness, that lived in transitional housing and permanent housing. So having both sides of that world and being able to merge it together is a beautiful thing, and to be here part of this conference. So before we get into the meat of everything, I would like for everyone to participate in this because it's about you. And for me, I would like to hear about you, to know who my demographics is and what are some of the things that you like. So if you can, in the chat, please put your name, what organization you're from, your title, and why you love dogs. All right? We're going to put your name, the organization that you're from, your title, and why you love dogs. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. And then I will ask for 10 volunteers to speak to the group because this will be interactive. While you all are doing that, I'll give you why I love dogs. I can remember since I was probably 5 years old, whenever I saw a dog, I would just light up. At the time, my mom, we lived in a small apartment. We didn't have a lot of money, so my mom didn't want to take on another responsibility other than myself and my little brother. But I was the kid that would find dogs in the neighborhood and bring them home when it rained, because I lived on the East Coast. So when it snowed, I would say, Mom, could they just stay in my house, in the apartment, while it rains so that we can keep them warm, and asked if I could buy them food. And so for me, whenever I saw a dog, I just would light up, and it was just something about looking them in the eyes and looking into their soul and just made me smile. And I wanted to become a veterinarian when I was coming up. And my cousin actually went to veterinarian school. And at an early age, I say in middle school, he went to Yale, and he would invite me to some of his classes, and I would see some of the things. And I realized after seeing that you had to deal with animals that were hurt and seeing them sick, that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I stayed with that, wanting to work with animals. I worked with animals in high school. And as I became an adult, I met my partner, and me and her decided, she wanted to be a vet as well. We decided to open up our dog grooming salon because we love to see when customers come in and after they bring their dog to us, and when they pick them up and they see the smile on their faces after their dogs are transformed. Some dogs that have come in matted or with fleas and ticks, and when they go home, they're so happy. So I love to look into their souls and look into their eyes and see the beauty that God has created with dogs. So that was my story.
Yes, they're so great. They're so great. As we have a few people that have participated in the chat. I don't know if any of you, Kira, Mayani, Tracy, Nicole, Helen, anyone want to unmute yourself and read out loud what you wrote?
Oh, Anne. Hey, Anne. Anne is a friend of mine. I see Anne English. Hey.
Anne is the best, isn't
yes,
she?
Yes.
You all are the
I
best.
like you.
It's so nice to see you, Terrell.
Nice to see you too. So I'm going to hold Anne. You're going to get a chance to speak too, because I want to hear why you love dogs. Okay. But Kara, you were speaking, I think.
Yeah. Go, Kira. Great.
I think she's muted.
While Kira works on her tech issues. Anne, why do you love dogs?
I love all animals. I mean, I think anybody who knows me knows that. I love animals. I've had dogs. I don't have a dog currently, but I was really inspired by, I can't remember, I think Madeline has a pit mix named Xena, and my best friend at the time, who actually just moved to Barcelona. I'm going to go crazy now. Tangents. But I have a best friend who Cynthia, in fact, Terrell. Did you know that Cynthia just moved to Barcelona?
Wow. No, I didn't.
Yeah, she just moved to Barcelona, and we just had a session with a bunch of folks that are doing permanent supportive housing with animals in Barcelona. They did some pilot work. They've been at My Dog is My Home's conference for the last 2 years. And now it's spreading, not only is it spreading across the country of Spain, but it's being, they're working also not just with people experiencing homelessness, but with anybody who is marginalized or challenged or vulnerable that has animals. So it's really exciting. You know, they do great stuff across the pond.
Yeah.
But it's another reason to go visit Cynthia. So
great.
Anyway, so when Cynthia and I used to actually live together, she had a dog named Xena, who was a pit mix. And my older cat, Rudy, who just passed away this last year at 21, had actually grew up with Xena. They grew up together and they were like best friends, you know. So yeah, Xena died a few years ago, but Rudy just died last year. But, you know, I mean, pets are our lives, you know, they're our family. And, you know, I can't think of any reason that I would ever relinquish any member of my family. And that's my family. So asking people to do that is beyond me. But I think, I'm just joining, so I don't know what you talked about, Terrell, but I mean, I think it's really important that you have worked in the field. I don't know if you talked about that, about, you know, working with folks.
So Terrell, we actually have Nicole offering to share your ice-breaking question.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Anne. I appreciate it. We're going to go with Nicole and then we'll get back. Nicole.
Hi, so my name's Nicole. I'm from Sacramento, California. So I work at the Sacramento SPCA as the adoption manager there. And I love dogs because they provide me companionship, uplift my mood on bad days, and help me stay consistent with exercise, keeping my body healthy, because I probably wouldn't do that on my own.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. Anyone else, Carol?
A few more people shared in the chat. I've encouraged them to unmute
Okay.
themselves. But some people have said I've loved dogs for the unconditional love that they give all of us. Nicole, I shared they uplift my mood on bad days. Tracy said, because they are fun, loving, and cuddly. Mayani said, because they are loyal and they know what is happening to you. Kira said, I love dogs because of their constant enthusiasm to shower others in love. So dogs are
Okay.
great. Like Anne, I love all of the fuzzy animals. My house is full of them.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I posed that question as an icebreaker because I want us to tap into how does it feel when you heard people telling their stories. Like when people are telling their stories on why they love dogs, I'm looking at faces. I can see people smiling. I can see people nodding. I can see people taking a moment and to take it in. Sometimes it'll get you thinking about your dog that you had in the past when you were a child and how you felt when you had lonely days and you got to cuddle with your dog or your pet, or when you would come home and they would come and wag their tail. So I like to get that as an icebreaker because it's important to really tap into the energy and how does it feel when you hear about dogs. Moving to the reaction that you feel when you listen to other people's stories, right? You put the smile, the warm feeling that you have inside. Why is that important? Especially when I'm supposed to be talking about grooming and working with dogs in a congregate environment or in the shelter. Why is that important? Well, I will talk about animal grooming and hygiene-related concerns relevant to maintaining a healthy and safe environment. But before I can do that, I want to start with welcoming energy. Why is that important? Welcoming energy is key when it comes to working with people, but especially when it comes to working with dogs. How many people heard that dogs sense fear? Raise your hand, right? So it's energy. They sense the energy. If you're fearful inside, they can sense something is wrong, and then it's projected onto them like, what are you going to do to me? So something's going on with you because I feel it, and now what are you going to do to me? So they sense fear, right? And knowing that, we have to know that energy is transferable. So if energy is transferable, how many people walked into a room or an office or even at home and you felt the energy was cutting like a knife and it felt like the vibes was bad, right? How many people felt that? Raise your hand. Okay. If you have a significant other that's upset and they don't have a word to say to you, you felt it immediately. You might want to get out of there quickly or do something to change the energy quickly. That's why welcoming energy is important. It's a major factor when you're dealing with animals, when you're dealing with animals in an environment where it can be unwelcoming, or when you're dealing with animals and people that could be in an environment where there's a lot of stuff going on that can cause craziness and confusion. How do you create that welcoming energy environment? Well, with me and my business, that's how we run our business. That's how I live my life. And I feel like any successful organization or business that wants to be successful needs to create a safe environment for people to have a positive energy so that they can thrive. And what the heck am I talking about? Why is this important? I asked this question. What does Starbucks and Trader Joe's have in common? Anyone could put in the chat. This is not a trick question. I just noticed this about them. What do they have in common? Some similarities. Why do people go to Starbucks other than just for coffee? Why do people like going to Trader Joe's other than just to get food?
Convenience.
Convenience.
Friendly staff.
Friendly staff. Vibe. Here's
familiar.
Familiar.
They have great vegan options.
Great vegan options. Great, great. Well, the bottom line is they foster a culture that is usually welcoming, right? They look at hiring people who appear to be happy about their jobs. When you walk in, hello, welcome, eye contact. They play music that makes you feel good. You feel a sense of connection there, a sense of community. That's why you choose to go there. How many people have a certain place that they go to all the time, whether it be your favorite mom and pop restaurant, barbershop, nail salon, etc.? How many people have that place that you go to? It could be a hole in the wall, but you go there. Why? Why do you go? If you can think about that place and like close your eyes for a moment and go, okay, why do I go to this place that I go to all the time? What is it about that place? And if you could vividly paint the picture of what does it feel like when you walk in, when someone comes over, hey, Andrea, Tanya, Michelle, how are you today? What does it smell like, the aroma? What does it feel like, the energy in the room? Your favorite seat by the window where the light shines in on you? Whatever it feels like, vividly just go to that place and imagine that. And take that in for a moment.
So we're all sharing that we know what to expect. It's comforting also to feel that that place knows you and feel like they care about you. They make you feel special.
Make you feel special. This is important. So a lot of us work in the field. A lot of us are service providers. A lot of us work with people and animals. A lot of us are working with people and animals that are disenfranchised or are unhoused and are going from place to place and already feel a sense of this going on, right? So when they come to us, so when they come to you, how does our organization provide that welcoming environment for people and for their dogs or their pets? How do you do that? And if anyone would like to share what your organization does to create a welcoming environment for people and their pets, you can either do that and raise your hand and Carol will call on you, or you can put it in the chat and Carol will say it out loud. It's really, like I said, for me, this isn't just about me speaking. It's about engaging you all because, yes, I have a grooming salon, but it's bigger than just a grooming salon. It's working with you all. It's working with the demographics that we work with and providing an environment for people to feel safe so that they then can get the tools needed to provide the things that they need for their pets.
I mean, I'll share for me in my day job running a legal clinic. While we don't currently provide any animal supports, going to change. I've made so many connections during this conference. One of the things that we do really well here at the Waterfront Project is hiring people from the community. So it's people that make it so if you walk in the door, it feels comforting. It feels like home. It feels like someone that's going to understand what it's like. Again, growing up in Jersey City or Hudson County or wherever, they're going to know. They're going to be able to relate more to your story. And I think that that's something really important when we do the work that we all do, is to be able to relate to the people we serve. Again, seeing them as equals, seeing them as looking at our similarities versus our differences.
Yes, very important. Thank you for sharing that. If anyone
wants to unmute themselves and share, please feel free. It's a small, intimate group.
Yes. I mean, think about this. So I'll just give you my scenario. You have a family that were, displaced and now in a shelter with their dog. And if the environment itself isn't conducive to making them feel good, such as, oh, if the energy is, oh, here's another one with another dog that we have to take care of, right? If that energy is that, then there is a sense of not feeling welcomed, right? And I know I worked in the service field. What tends to happen is, as service providers, there's a lot of things that we have to do and take care of to make sure for the individuals themselves have everything. And then it's a dog and there's more pets. And once one get one, everyone else wants to get one. And so we're thinking about how do we manage this? Because now we're going to have a place where there's 20 dogs in here and there's, 100 people, and then they want to get housing, and how is that going to work? But it all stems down to creating an environment, letting go of that. You want to have your dog in your home. You want to be able to be welcoming your pet that you love. It's the same with them. And so for me, is there anyone else, any comments before I move on?
So
Kira
I
said from
can
an
add to
animal
that
shelter.
too.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
someone. Yes.
So this is Nicole, and what Kira put in the chat about making it a judgment-free space, we definitely try to do that as well.
Yeah.
And something that was echoed from earlier in this week was meeting people where they're at.
Mhm.
So I think everyone has in their head their ideal picture of pet ownership for whatever
Right.
species or breed is
Right.
there.
Right.
And the person in front of you might not be at that level. So
Right.
instead of trying to have them jump from where they are to where you are, maybe giving them small areas that that would be easy for them to implement to
Mhm.
elevate their pet's care just a little bit.
Thank you.
And instead of trying to do large jumps, just give them little tidbits to continue on to build your relationship.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, but I really appreciate that. Definitely starting where people are, meeting them where they are, and taking baby steps and getting them into the process. For me, I took this concept of, the whole welcoming environment, and I broke it down into several different things. I think, everyone pretty much, everyone here loves dogs and everyone loves pets, right? And everyone has the right to have one. Everyone should have the opportunity to experience the love, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're young or old, you live in a mansion, you live on the street. And when our consumers or people come to us, they want to feel welcome. They want to feel that they're in a safe space for their dogs and them to get the care that they need. So some of the steps that I've taken to creating a welcome environment, I'm going to touch on that. And maybe you can think about it with your agency and say, oh, can I make some of those adjustments? But I started with the aesthetics because it's important to think about, what does it look like when your two-legged friends and four-legged friends walk into your establishment? What does it look like? What is the lighting? What are the colors? What is the decor? Sometimes you go into a place and it's it's about, okay, well, I want it to look elaborate, and it's slippery floors and it's marble and it's all these things that's great for people that want to feel like, oh, this is beautiful, but is the environment conducive to the people that you're serving and the animals that you're serving? So what does it look like? Color is important. People don't think about it, but you go into certain places, and when the colors are a certain way and you feel drained and tired, and then you go in a certain place and there's bright colors and you come alive when you go in there. So what is your color scheme like in your business or your establishment or your organization? The decor. Is the decor all about just you, what you like, or is the decor comfortable where people and animals can come and sit and feel like, oh, this is my space? Is it people and dog friendly? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Why does this matter? How many people walked into a business because of the way it looked, smelled, sounded, the noise, the energy, you turned right back and walked out? How many people have done that? I can remember I'll give you a story. I can remember walking into a barber shop with my son at the time. He was 8 years old. When I walked in, there was loud music playing, vulgar language, the smell of marijuana, like someone just smoked it and blew it out right there. The F-bombs was being, thrown each time, every which way. And it wasn't appropriate for me or my son. And I walked in, took me 5 minutes. I turned right back around and left, because the environment itself was not conducive for me or my child. And they lost business because of that. So it's very important that we make sure that the energy is conducive, the environment, the sound, the smell, the feel is conducive for our consumers, our constituents, because we want to provide them with the best service. And sometimes we forget about all those things. I remember we were building a youth center back at home on the East Coast, and they didn't take in consider that these were for young people. They created all this great stuff that was great for adults, but when young people walked in the door, it was like, I just want a basketball court. I want a place where I could just sit down and chill and listen to my music. You created all these foofy, shishi seats and all this. It didn't feel good. So I said, could we start a youth board to create the vibe for young people? And it changed. So the environment, what it feels like, smells like, look like, sound like is important, especially if you're working with people that are already going through some things. And then they're bringing their animals in. And just tweaking those little things creates a difference. All right. So I'll tell you a little bit about our business, because it was very intentional. We created a nature type environment. So when you walk into our place, you see a 10-foot tree, grass, green, colorful walls, beautiful fish in our fish tank, bright, colorful paintings, the sound of birds chirping, the sound of waterfall, the smell of eucalyptus, the feeling of the space creates right? And I'm looking at different people's faces, and even just saying it, I'm seeing the smile. I'm seeing your face light up. That was important for us, because you're getting dogs that are walking in that are scared. They see a scale, they think you're going to stick them with a needle. They already know this is not the place because they smell anal glands, which expression of anal glands, even if you don't smell it, dogs smell it, right? So for them, that means fear, flight, get away, something's bad. So we have eucalyptus because it disguises the odor, but it also smells good in there. It smells like you're out in the park. The trees, it feels like you're in nature. We all know that human beings and animals thrive in nature. So we set our environment very intentionally to create a relaxing vibe for our consumers, our two-legged friends, and our four-legged friends. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is when people walk into your establishment, not only what it looks like, what it feels like, but the person that's there greeting the people that walk in, right? They are your front line. They are the people that when a person walks in, if they've got good energy, they're going to feel good about staying here. They're going to feel good about being a part of your organization. They're going to feel good about getting their dogs groomed. But they have to elude a certain thing. How many people have walked into an establishment and the front desk person or the receptionist or the person that's supposed to be greeting you didn't give you any eye contact, did seem to be a little bit preoccupied and almost feels like they could care less if you're there or not? How many people have been in that situation? All right. How did you feel when you walked into that place? And what did you do? If you could chat that in there, because I'm just curious, because I have a story to tell. And it just happened to me today again. But how did you feel when you walk into that establishment and that person didn't give you eye contact, or they might have said welcome, but they said welcome, no acknowledgement? How did you feel? And what did you do? Anyone
Sarah,
say
you want to
anything?
unmute yourself?
Yes.
Sure. As somebody who has worked as a receptionist and front desk person, I am comfortable enough to be like, hey, I'm here. I'm here for my appointment, or I'm here for whatever. But I know not everyone might be comfortable speaking up for themselves like that. And
Right.
it's easier when it comes from the other side of the desk.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Sarah. Any comments in the text? What did they do? How did they feel? All right. Well,
Tracy shared that this is a common problem with staff currently. It just puts a wall up immediately to the guests.
it is. It does. Think about it. We just came back off of a pandemic, right? People are already on edge walking around other people, right? Now you're walking into a place that you want to get service from, or that's supposed to be helping you, and the person that's there is engaged on their phone. The person that's there is head down doing something else. The person that's there, it doesn't set the tone that they want you even here. I joined a gym about a year ago. The person that I met there, Jasmine, she was great. When I walked in, she was like, hey, what's your name? I told her my name. Every time I came in, hey, Terrell, how's your day going? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired, but she's still, hey, how's your day going, Terrell? I hope you have a great workout. How was your week? Oh, tell me about your week. She was engaging. She was welcoming. I looked forward to going to the gym because I saw her and her energy was that way. Fast forward to now at the gym. This morning, after yoga class, walk in at 7 o'clock. I'm at a peaceful state. I walk in. The girl is on her phone. She's supposed to say welcome because that's part of their culture. She says welcome, but not even looking at me. Welcome. I threw the card. Just the simple acknowledgement of that I'm here just sets the tone for me before working out, right? I honestly, when I walked in, like I said it to myself, I was like, really? Like in the next person, she did the same thing. And those little things play a big part in organizations and businesses that you would think is not so big of a deal, but they play a major part, especially when you're dealing with people. And especially when you're dealing with people that already have a lot of other stuff on their plate. So I'm not here to preach to you. I'm here to just give you some insight on. We talk about how do we create a safe and welcoming environment. It starts here, and then we move into the services and the tools that we have to offer to our clients, but it starts here. Before, I'm going to go into the educational side and the tools needed. What are some of the things that you're doing at your organization to provide a healthy and safe environment? Okay. You don't have to tell me. I'm just posing it out there. How do we maintain a healthy and safe environment for people and their pets? Well, for me, it starts with education. It starts with providing individuals and people with the tools needed to, take care of their pets. Educating ourselves and our consumers on how to provide the basic hygiene needs of their pets to keep them essentially healthy and the group healthy, right? Because yes, when I worked as a case manager for transitional housing, I got a lot of, young people and people that are like, hey, well, I'm getting ready to move into my place now. And I got my dog but a lot of them did not have the basic resources or tools needed to provide for their dog. So their dogs was coming in matted, right? And I would tell them, your dog is in pain. You got to take your dog to get groomed because you're not brushing him properly. And they didn't know. Or your dog has fleas and ticks And so now if you don't get the preventative or do a flea bath, what's going to happen is they're going to spread. Or your dog seems like it might have an ear infection because it has an odor or a smell. So we need to take care of that. And then that creates tension within the environment. It creates tension for their roommates. It creates tension for the community and then for the staff, because now you want to deal. So it starts with education. And what we did as case managers is educated our clients on these are the things that you need. But once you get the education, you got to have the resources in doing it, right? So how to properly bathe your dog, right? Because a lot of times people say, oh, I bathe my dog every day. And you're like, that's not the proper process, because if you bathe your dog every day, you're taking the oils away from them that's needed to protect their coat and their skin, right? Or you have people that say, well, I don't bathe my dog. When I was coming up, they just washed themselves by licking themselves, right? And then you're like, no, because now your dog has hot spots and skin lesions and all types of things that can cause bacteria and fungus to grow on them. There's a certain thing called the sebum layer that protects the dog from any type of bacteria. So after 21 days, that sebum layer then is broken down. It's no longer there. I mean, it's just compiled with dirt and all types of stuff. And that's when they start to, get hot spots and skin lesions, stuff like that. So educating our consumers on the proper ways of bathing their dogs, when to bathe your dog, how to bathe your dog. If there's no groomer, that's another sector that we're working on, is with our nonprofit, is offering these services to individuals and families that are in shelters or in permanent houses that can't afford to get their dog groomed, or may not have the capability to even bathe and groom their dog because of who they are and what they're going through as individuals. They may not be able to bathe their dog. So we are at Loving Paws trying to do that, but education is key. Nail trimming. I don't advise for people to try to trim your own dog's nail, because you will traumatize your dog. Or you tell your consumers, hey, cut their nails. I would always say take them to the groomer or someone who's professionally trained to do it, because like us, we get customers that come in and, could you cut my dog's nails short, please? Because I'm tired of hearing them scratching on the floor or tapping. And I'm like, their nails aren't supposed to be short. And some people don't understand. They still want us to do it. And we say we can't, because there's the vein in their nail that if you go into it, they're going to bleed. And so, yes, their nail appears to be long. As long as it's not curving into their paw pads or going off to the right or the left, they're fine. We can't cut their nails too short, because then they would bleed. So a lot of people don't know that. So you have the extreme, people that don't cut their nails, and then people that want their nails cut all the time. There's some dogs that can't express their anal glands on their own. So if you ever notice dogs that are scooting around on their butt and dragging their butt, they're trying to express their anal glands. Usually that happens when dogs are excited, scared, or when they poop. But there are some dogs that, for after time, their muscles deteriorate and they're not able to express their own anal glands. So if you notice that, it's important to get that the client or your dog or the consumer's dogs checked, because their anal glands can erupt. That happened to me a long time ago. I didn't know. Once it erupted, I had to take him to the vet. It was like $400 for that whole surgery, for them to clean it up. It became an abscess and all of that. So if you notice that, those are some of the basic things. What else? Being aware of fleas and ticks. A lot of times, especially if you're working in the shelter and type environment, if you notice, dogs are scratching, but if you see little like brown dots all over them, that's flea poop, or black dots, that's flea poop. Sometimes you might not see the fleas. You'll see the flea poop that's all over them. It's on their stomach and all over them. And you're like, okay, what is that? That means that there's signs of fleas. So right then they're going to need to get a flea bath. They're going to need to get all of their bedding washed, hot water and taken care of, because it's going to get back on them. You're going to have to spray down that with some type of, they have a citrus spray that doesn't cause harm to the dogs that you can spray on it. And you want to get your dogs and other animals in the area checked out for that, because once they spread, contagiously. Certain dogs need haircuts on a regular basis because of their texture of their hair. I get people that come in all the time with the Labradoodles, and they have these coarse, curly, like Afro-ish type hair, almost like mine, but I don't have any anymore. But if I didn't brush my hair every day, when it was a week or two later and I go to brush my hair, I'm going to have knots and mats in my hair, right? So then you're going to have to shave it off. But you can believe there's people that bring their dogs in and they don't understand, they don't know. So educating them on the proper ways of brushing their dogs, especially if you have certain types of dogs. So educating them, getting them the tools needed, shampoos, conditioner, proper slicker brushes, toothbrush. A lot of people don't realize this. Dogs do need their teeth brushed. It may not be like us every day, but what ends up happening is as a dog gets older, 7 years old, then they start losing their teeth because of tartar buildup and all those things. So they have toothpaste for dogs and toothbrushes that you can brush their teeth. We do it at the grooming salon, but we can offer those tools to our consumers. Here's a toothbrush, brush your teeth, start them young, then they won't have these problems of their teeth falling out or deteriorating. Why is this important? Why is this important to know these basic skills, to provide these basic resources and tools, especially when it comes to dealing with people that are living in a communal environment with other dogs? It's important because, one, it's a health issue, it's a hygiene issue. Two is, I've seen situations where people that have not been able to maintain and take care of their dog were given the option of either you have to let your animal go or you're going to have to go with your animal. And no one wants to put anyone in that situation. And I think this is it's going to become more and more prevalent as we see more people with animals in shelters and case managers having to deal with this. And I really believe that there needs to be a component like that same way there's case managers working with individuals, there need to be the case managers helping them work with dogs. And I'm sure some of you are already doing that. I'm just saying that this needs to be something across the board because we want to keep people united with their animals, and we don't want them to have the option of ever having to give them up because they weren't able to properly maintain their hygiene or some of the basic needs. I'm going to open the floor up. I'm going to close out with if you're an organization in Los Angeles and you're looking for help with providing services for your demographics and your people, we're here. We do have a nonprofit called Loving Paws. We're applying for grants now. We're getting funding in, and our job and our goal is to be able to help you, be able to help your constituents, keep their pets and maintain, the hygiene of their pets and get them, to a place where, they're healthy. And until then, we do offer services. I've worked with a lot of people that are trying to rehouse dogs and are fostering dogs, and they bring them to our Wash My Dog, and we groom them and we post it up on our pages. This dog was now found a home, and it's always amazing and gratifying to know that we're helping people find their loved ones and we're helping rehouse pets into a loving home. So if you have any questions or
we have a few.
comments, I'm open.
Yeah. So, are there grooming protocols that can be put in place to help mitigate allergy concerns for other humans who share a congregate setting, or let's say they're roommates or anything like that?
Well, so some people are allergic because of the fibers, because of the dogs. So it all depends. If they already have that certain dog, then there's not much that person can do because it's the dog. It's the hair, it's the fiber of the dog. We do have shampoos that we put on dogs that's less abrasive for the dogs and for humans, hypoallergenic shampoos that'll not irritate the dog skin. But I would always say, if there's a person who's looking in the shelters, like I'm looking for a dog, you can find dogs that are non-allergic, that are cause less allergies for humans. You can, if as a case manager, you can help do the research. Hey, these dogs are, cause less allergies, so you can have this dog because you're not going to get a reaction. So if there's people that's like, I want a dog and I can't wait to get one, you can help them. There's research, you can look them up. There's certain types of dogs that are like that. I have a couple of customers that come in that are allergic to dogs, but their dogs they're not allergic to because they did the research. But once they're already in the shelter, there's really not much that we can do if they're allergic, because it's because of the fibers. They're allergic to that, the hair.
I have 6 cats and I'm allergic to cats. I just take Benadryl and have an air purifier. I just, I deal with it.
It's funny. I'm just going to tell you this. So a good friend of mine was allergic to cats, but she loved cats. And she did this like hypnosis therapy. And I'm not saying it worked for everyone, but it worked for her. It was amazing. Like when she told me, I was so skeptical. I was like, it's not going to work. And it worked, and she did, and she was able to keep her cat.
The other thing is, I think, medical doctors are learning more about how allergies work. Because when I was little, I had like the asthma attacks, so like eyes got crusty, and now I don't know if it's my age or that I just like kind of forced the allergy to like kind of deal with it. But I don't get like that. There are days where it's a little worse than others, but I will give up the ability to not be itchy to be with all my fur babies because they are my home.
Know that, Terryl. My best friend, my housemate, is allergic to cats. And when I moved in here, she had 5 cats. I mean, that's just crazy. I didn't realize that was true for you too, Carol. She's always my.
Oh yeah, I just take, I have a prescription grade pill I take at night, and then in the morning, if it's bad, I'll take an extra Claritin. I'm fine. They bring me more joy than me having to have a box of tissues.
Places in business. I guess it's you too. Yeah.
Wow.
And same thing with, I also have rabbits, Terrell. And I'm not allergic to the rabbits. I'm allergic to their hay. And I did my research on the rabbits by like petting a rabbit and no allergies. The moment I changed their litter box, because they're litter box trained, that is a horrible allergy. So my husband has to change the litter boxes, not me. But deal. So congregate shelters are often afraid of like flea and tick infestations, which you did talk about. It's sort of like this fear of, if we allow animals, this is all the horrible things that are going to happen. And I really want you to talk more about the education and what the shelters could do to just kind of be prepared. Is that, having for cats, I always have Capstar on hand because I rescue and TNR cats. And I have them on hand so that I bring a cat in, give them the Capstar, leave them outside in the crate until the fleas die. And then, I give them a flea bath. So if you can talk a little bit more about that from like these congregate shelters that have all these fears.
Well, so one is, yes, you can get an infestation. So be prepared. One of the things that I would say is start off with having preventatives for your consumers already. They should be taking it every 30 days, especially in the springtime, because as it gets hot, starting next month, April, May, June, we see a spike in fleas and ticks. And once one dog gets it, the other gets it. But if you take preventatives, you have different preventatives. They have pills, they have drops, they have different collars that you can buy, that not the cheap ones from the dollar store, but the real medical ones that you can get from a vet. You can already have that on with your staff, that you can give that to them, especially during the springtime. Also, there's certain citrus sprays. There's Tropicana. Tropic. They make one. It's like an orange bottle. It's non-toxic. It's citrus kills fleas too. So there's sprays that you can spray on the bedding or in the area so that it will, anything that's there will die. So that's another preventative, and it's not going to cause any harm to you or to your pets. So if you do the spraying once a month, you do the preventative once a month, and then you can also get flea baths. So don't wait till they get them. That's what the problem is. If we wait until things happen, then the issue is now it's widespread. I always have our customers, we had a customer that her whole yard was infested with fleas because of the cats, right? And so she would come every couple of months and they would just be infested. Listen, just come every month. I told her the spray to get. She sprayed her yard. She got her cats. She brought her cats in. They got the flea bath. She bought everything that she needed to buy to provide the preventative, and then she didn't have the problem anymore. So you just have to you have to prepare your agency for this, because it will happen, and you don't want to get upset with them. It happens. There's animals, and animals go out and flee. So if you do the preventatives beforehand, then you won't have to worry about the breakouts. Make sure you take care of it. And if you can't get to a groomer, you can buy flea baths, shampoos, and you can buy stuff from your local vet or your pet store that are preventatives to give to them on a monthly basis. And just keep the date when you give it to them, and do it on a regular, and you won't have that problem.
So we have one more question. Do you have recommendations for anyone who can't afford a grooming appointment? I work with several patrons that grooming access is a huge barrier for, and finding options can be difficult. Not everyone has you in their community to offer low cost or free grooming services. So you're very special there.
That was one of when I started this, the grooming salon, because I left working with, the social service field. When I came in, I saw that gap, and it needs to be more in the community out there, because, it can be expensive. If they're not in the Los Angeles area, I don't know. I do know that there's agencies that provide vouchers. So like for us, we've gotten fund, like, I forgot the agency. I should have wrote it down. It was on the top of my head. Is it Barker's? Is it Barker? Barker Foundation? Bark Farm. Yeah. They in LA, and I'm sure they have them all over, where they help provide they help provide care. So vet care, low cost vet. Now they're not vets, but they give the funding. You have to go to them, and if you can prove that you're low income or you can't afford it, then they'll call a groomer and say, hey, could you work with us? How much would you charge us? Because, and I did it, I do it to this day. They'll call and say, hey, they gave out 5 vouchers. What could you do? I'll do the dogs for this amount for you guys. So I would say reach out to, look up certain foundations in your area that provide veterinarian care, and for low cost veterinarian care, and some of them have vouchers that they can give to groomers to provide grooming for your pets or your consumers.
Thank you. That's so great. I wanted to just, on one note where you're just sort of like being prepared and having that education. Prior to this position, I was a supportive housing provider. I had one lady, Miss Booker, who had a bunch of little kitties in the backyard, and she was feeding them and letting them come inside, and the entire basement then became infested with fleas. Yeah. I was trying to get an exterminator out there, but I TNR cats and do all of that in my free time. And I went in a hazmat suit and literally I think I rescued like 4 kittens from there. They all got adopted. And then helping Miss Booker, educating her on like, all right, if you're going to do this, here's Capstar, here are the collars, doing all of that. And then, yes, getting the exterminator to come maybe more regularly while she was doing a good thing. And again, my heart goes out to her as a person who rescues and takes care of strays. But she understood, and we were able to adjust so that she was able to do that thing that made her happy, aka feeding the cats, but I was able to provide those resources
Yes.
to make it in a better situation where there's not going to be a flea infestation.
Right, right.
And for not only for the safety of the property or the other housemates or the other, but also for her, I didn't want her to get bitten by fleas when she was feeding these cats. So I just think it's so appropriate for us to like not to assume that people have the same level of knowledge that we do when doing these things, and just educating them and teaching them and doing it, you know, by not being a jerk.
Right.
And I think that definitely helps expand our mission. So I really just want to thank you so much for your time and for your expertise and for the work that you do to help people in LA and their four-legged animals.
Thank you.